Carlos Rodon is still not a Yankee. The Yankees haven't made any moves other than signing a minor leaguer, of course. Other teams have made moves. I think the Mets have made a couple of moves, but other than signing Aaron Judge, it's been a pretty quiet offseason for the New York Yankees, of course, signing Anthony Rizzo. Welcome back to the Twinbill podcast on NyynewsTV. Luca's alongside me as usual, but we all know who's the older and better twin. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the good stuff. Become a member, get some awesome perks, quick takes, all that good stuff. Appreciate everybody coming along in chat. Also, share out as well. It's very helpful. I'm going to shout out the chat real quickly. Hirsch, Anthony Medina, Jason Martino, Michael Osborne, Dan Dog, 44, Yankees Farm, Mike from the Ave, Junior B, Jack Arnold, and and Philo as well. So shout outs to you guys in chat. How are y'all doing?
Appreciate you guys spending your Wednesday night with us.
Yes. Appreciate you guys spending your Wednesday night with us. Luca, your thoughts, just to open up.
First thoughts, the Yankee, what was I going to say was last week was much more, we saw obviously Aaron Judge came back as a Yankee, Tommy Kahnle was signed, and the Yankees haven't really done anything much since then. The Mets have signed Correa, the Mets have signed Brandon Nimmo, a couple of other teams have made moves. The Yankees just missed out on Correa, even though they really weren't in on him. But I don't know, is it me, Alex, or I'm starting to grow nervous about, Carlos Rodon a little bit because the Yankees are just kind of playing the waiting game with Scott Boras. We'll get into the whole Rodon thing. We don't have a plan for left field yet. And when are we trading Donaldson to Hicks and Gleyber Torres?
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't think that Gleyber Torres is going to be dealt, but we're going to get into that, guys. We got 45 watching. Please get those likes up. We're already at 17 likes. Someone mentioned it in chat. Yankees Farm. Cardinals are out on Rodon, so who exactly is Cashman bidding against? Well, he's bidding against himself. But you said who's he bidding against?
Twins. The Twins are interested, I think.
Yeah, the Twins aren't going to that level. The Yankees can easily match that, but we will get right into it. Also, as well, I mean, we could probably end the show with this. I did a video out today on my Big Blue in the Bronx YouTube channel, which you should go subscribe to. I think Mike from the Ave was in there as well. They did a video, 5 things the Yankees need to do to really close out their off season. I think we should do that at the end. But longer the Rodon dance goes on, the less optimistic I am. I mean, yeah, that's
100%.
Kind of the way the waiting game. Judge a little bit, but Luca, you were saying?
No, I'm saying they're playing the waiting game, as I said earlier in the intro.
Yeah. So let's start off with Carlos Rodon, and
he's the big
let's start off. Which teams are in on him? Let's start off with that.
I've said the Cardinals. Whoever just mentioned it, Cardinals are out. Twins and Yankees. How could you get outbid by the
Giants? No, nothing.
Well, Giants, I think were also said to be in on him, but how could you get possibly outbid by the Giants and the Twins? Because the Twins haven't really done anything this offseason. They've lost Correa. I mean, the only thing you could really say is they've signed Christian Vasquez. It's a solid deal, but it's not, it's not really eye-catching. So they're not making a lot of flashy moves. They haven't improved their team a ton. This would be a big get for the Twins, but this, to me, is a bigger get for the Yankees. I understand, we have Garrett Cole. We have already right now. We have our starting 5 lined up. It would be Cole, Severino, and then it would be Cortez, Montas. If I'm missing anybody, and then a 5-starter like Schmidt or Herman. Now with Rodon, it would be Cole, Rodon, Cortez, Severino, and then Montas. You don't need to use Clark Schmidt and Herman every 5 days. They could just be what Chad Green was, as you say, like kind of openers. Whenever I, even though I hate bullpen days, it's just Rodon just brings that umph as a number two starter.
Now, let me ask a question before I reveal my thoughts. And I did last week. I'll reiterate them this week on Carlos Rodon. Which team did Sean Manaea go to? Was that the Twins?
Giants.
The Giants. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that makes a ton
They
of
also signed Ross Stripling.
yeah, which was a pretty mid move. But hey, listen, he's going to his former his
Giants also
former
signed Mitch
team's
Haniger.
rival. His former team's rival. Jeff 4423 says the Blue Jays are in on Rodon. So I'll put my points and thoughts out there on Rodon, kind of like I did last week. I'll do it again because I feel like we need to refresh everybody's minds. Luca mentioned obviously what the rotation would look like with Rodon, without Rodon. One thing is this: we know Garrett Cole is known to blow up in the regular season, whether that
Right.
cost the Yankees games or not last year. And I flipped the script on Garrett Cole because he was top 2 player on the Yankees during the postseason. Like, he won the Cleveland games. He pitched well in the Astros games, even though Aaron Boone gave up on him. What was that, in game 3? I think it was.
It was game 3.
Game 3 gave up on him. So, I flipped the script on Garrett Cole, but he is known to blow up in the regular season, and Carlos Rodon is gonna be the security blanket for that. Like, maybe there's a couple other words you could probably put in there better, but Carlos Rodon, I mean, he's got excellent stats. I've been calling his name for 2 years.
So have
I've
I.
said it on Twinbill last year. I was talking about it at the trade deadline. Carlos Rodon is a must get, but people were like, he's injury prone. I'm like, okay, let's see what he does this year. Let's see what Rodon does this year. So obviously, I think he had like a 2.88 ERA and a 14-8 record.
Yep.
That's at least off the top of my head. And another thing is, yeah, people talk about Rodon getting injured, whatnot. I mean, A, it's worth the risk. B,
You're forgetting
what
one
if?
thing, Alex.
Okay, go ahead.
Coming along with the injury thing, they say he's not pitched a lot of innings, but if he's not pitched a lot of innings, that arm has a ton of miles left to be put on it. He could go for a while, and
Yeah,
the length will be there. That's why maybe he's using, maybe he and Scott Boras are saying, "Hey, 7 years," because, I was off. Listen, I was injured a little bit earlier on in my career. I was pretty mediocre at first, but then I overcame my injuries, and now there's a ton of my arm's fresh. My arm's fresh.
right. Li, shouts to you, man, but no way is Montas getting traded for Mike Soroka. They are going to keep Soroka over there in Atlanta.
Unless he says that unless he says trade Montas for Max Fried. That's apparent. Max Fried's apparently being shopped.
I mean, I would take Max Fried, but I
I
mean,
know.
I just feel
I
like
know.
Rodon's more of a sure thing. He's an easier get. Um, Jeff also says, weren't we supposed to get a Marlins pitcher? We were supposed to get. I mean, Pablo
Pablo
Lopez was
Lopez.
the talk of the town at the trade deadline. And Gleyber Torres, obviously, the slump went down from there, but I think Mike Soroka could use a change of scenery. I mean, he was pretty good with the Braves, right?
I'll do the
Soroka.
stats.
Yeah, look up the stats, but I don't think that's even realistic to be completely transparent. Personally, don't care for Pablo. Yeah, I mean, I don't. I'm gonna disagree with a couple people that we work with here at NYY News TV. I just don't see how
Soroka
much of
has not pitched
improvement
since 2020.
who.
Soroka.
Yeah, you're not taking. I'm not taking that chance. I'm sorry. I'm
And
not
I
taking that
think
chance.
I think he had like a torn UCL or something like that. All right, it was. I'm gonna try to find out this injury. He had a torn Achilles tendon, prematurely ending his 2020 season. He tore his Achilles walking back to the clubhouse in 2021 or 2022. So no, no.
Yeah, absolutely not.
You'd be
That injury
reinforcing the
was.
narrative that Brian Cashman loves injured pitchers.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's no doubt it's going to take a lot to get Max Fried blue gold. This is why I said,
Right.
Carlos Rodon is more of a sure thing. Not that it's a safe thing, but both are risky in their own in their own ways. I meant trade Montas to make a separate trade. I mean that I just don't see the reason to acquire Soroka. I mean, coming off of how many surgeries and injuries. But going back to my point about Pablo Lopez is I just don't see the marginal improvement. Like, does he improve the rotation like Rodon would? Does he improve the rotation like Max Fried would? What do you think?
Listen, Lopez was like a guy I was for at the deadline, and then my opinion kind of went down on him a little bit. But I still trade for him, yeah. But he would be at the very end of the rotation. I don't think, to me, it's like I don't think you would be adding anything at the back end of the rotation. Because remember, like I held this opinion last year when the Yankees traded Jordan Montgomery. I was like, okay, fine. You're getting Harrison Bader. He's a very solid player. Well, he's injured as well, but he's going to be very solid when he comes back for the Yankees. But what's that back of the rotation going to look like? Is it going to be secure? But it was. It was towards the end of the season with Domingo Germán. So it's not like you're massively improving the front of the rotation like you are with Rodon, or God forbid you trade for Max Fried. Not really God forbid. But overall, it's just like you're strengthening the back end fine, but what does it do that you could improve Frankie Montas, make him more of a fastball pitcher like Severino is, instead of this backwards philosophy that you must utilize their secondary pitches.
Yeah. I like Hirsch's comment. He goes, Fried would cost more than OBJ's boat trip. I agree with that. I'm going to be completely honest with you. There was another comment I wanted to get to. Anything on Tatis trade? I never thought that was a possibility. Like, where did that come from? Can someone tell me?
It was Rick DiPietro on DiPietro and Rothenberg in the early morning show. He's like, well, he just said out of the baseball conversation, he was like, the big splash the Yankees are looking for is Tatis. I don't know if that's really confirmed source because DiPietro is not like a Yankee guy. He played hockey, okay?
As I said, I'm just not going to trust that. Well, real quickly, guys, let's get those likes up. We're 28 likes, 88 watching. Please like, share, do all the good stuff. Who's available at the trade deadline for pitchers? I mean, that's going to be tough to call. That's going to be tough to call. And there was somebody in my premiere chat for my 5 moves video that premiered earlier today, and they're like, I don't want Rodon because he's injury prone. I'd rather wait for the trade deadline. I'm like, I literally said to him, what if we're in deep shit by then? Like,
right.
I'm not waiting till then to make vast improvements. And listen,
he's literally, listen, the Yankees are like 70 feet deep, 70% in on this, or you could say, however, 85, 90, whatever. Make it to the finish line. Don't pull out of this. You're not off by much. So here's the disparity. There's a year disparity. It's not much of how much Rodon wants to get paid. He wants $30 million a year. I don't know what the Yankees' offer was, but it was 6 years, and Rodon wants 7. Maybe the Yankees put something together, if they have not already, 6 years and a player option for that 7th year. Again, Rodon, as I said, has a lot of length on his arm. Why not give him that 7th year? And how old is Rodon? He's like 29.
I just don't. And it's not like you're signing him to some of these big ass contracts that we're seeing, like Correa or Bogarts. You're not signing him to fucking 10 years. I mean, we haven't even crossed that line yet. It's not a Cole contract. I just don't see what the holdup is. He will be the best power lefty you have had since CC Sabathia. Don't give me James Paxton. Do not throw that in my face, please.
Oh my God.
He had a solid first year, second year. He was completely injured. But Jeff also says Cabrera in left. We'll get to that. We'll get to the left.
Matthew Cohn says Rodon was a 5 WAR of the last 2 years. That's $35 million per year value. He just turned 30. Absolutely. You cannot pass up on it. You can't. Alex, what other option is out there besides Rodon? Nothing.
That compares to him?
The rotation will be the same as last year, and a lot of people will be okay with it. But Rodon just brings that dog mentality. The Yankees, listen, Severino's a dog, Cole's a dog when it comes to the playoffs, but Nestor's a grinder. but we need a dog like Rodon. He just brings the energy. In my humble opinion, he would so fit well here. I've said it for the past years. How do you not see the fit?
I saw it last year. And forgive me if I'm mistaken, but didn't the rotation minus Montas look exactly the same? Minus, well, actually, no, Tyone and fucking Montgomery in there, but it would have just looked a lot better. But now, I mean, you have to go after Rodon, in my opinion. Shouts to Chris the Flash in the chat. What's going on, man? Telling you they're cash broke. If they're cash broke, I mean, that's fucking. I'm not saying whoever said that's wrong, but there's a bullshit excuse because Hal was telling us that he's got money to sign Judge and other guys, but nah. I mean,
I'm going to respond to Anthony Medina's comment. Dear God, please do not get Eovaldi, please.
No. We went through that horse and pony.
Yankees will sign him. Here's what's going to happen: the Yankees would sign him to about $15 million a year over 3 years, like 3 years, $45 million, maybe even more. Maybe it'd be like $20 million, and he'd be on his third Tommy John surgery. I do not want anything to do with Nathan Eovaldi. A couple of years ago, yes, because I really liked him with the Yankees, especially in 2015. I thought he was very solid, but no.
Rod Thompson with the super chat. What's going on, man? He goes, it's really simple. Montas and Severino are going to be in their walk here. The Yankees are not keeping both of them. They need a number 2 behind.
Very key. Nobody, I'll give Rod this credit. Nobody's highlighting that. Nobody. Not even, I didn't even think it just now. Severino's on his option. Well, it was a qualifying. Yeah, it was an option. Montas is in the final year of his contract. So you need something long term. Rodon, just hit 7 years, please.
Yeah, I mean, good point by Rod. I didn't even think of that. They need to extend Severino. I mean, yeah, that needs to happen.
We'll see. We'll see. He's got to prove it this year because last year, listen, does he bring? He brings a very good element to this team. But the thing is, he can't ignore his injury concerns. So that the Yankee again, like last year, the Yankees will have to play that into factor. Let's see how healthy he is this year.
Someone asked, why not give Everson Pereira a shot for left field? I think we're like a few months away from that, to be completely real.
I don't think he's ready yet.
Nah, I mean,
isn't he in like AA?
AA, last time at least I checked. Maybe they're waiting to drop 2 salaries to pay for Rodon. Then they gotta make those trades, Jeff. They gotta make those trades.
They gotta trade Hicks and Donaldson for that to happen.
We can't be sitting here, and we were talking about this pre-show. We can't be sitting here, listening to the Yankees propaganda machine, as Pete likes to call it. Oh, well, they didn't have enough money or something about the tax threshold.
No, that's not even the point. Like, let's just say the Yankees add Rodon with Donaldson and Hicks. They'd go over the luxury tax, and Hal doesn't want to do that. But if you trade Hicks and Donaldson, which they should have done during the winter meetings, let's get real with this. I know we're delving between different topics and all. What removing Hicks and Donaldson's contract is not going to be that easy. You're going to have to attach a prospect or 2, like a B or C in salary, or at least eat some of that salary. Just move on. Admit your losses. Do that. It's not going to harm you long term to move on.
Apparently, according to Jack Curry, at least this is what I heard, that they may not even be interested in moving that contract now.
Please don't. Please. Because you know what? It's going to be so Yankees if they start out the year with Donaldson at third base, they bring up Volpe, or there's a ton of scenarios that could play out with that. They could have Donaldson. First of all, we don't even know who the left fielder is. It could be third base. Let's say shortstop Peraza, second base Gleyber Torres. They could have Donaldson at third. Maybe they want to bring up Anthony Volpe. Let's just say they do that. And Donaldson would be still getting plenty of playing time on Memorial Day. And the Yankees will not trade him because he probably will be playing piss poor and his value will be piss poor.
Right. And Hicks, I mean, how low does the value have to get for him? I mean, it's a matter of 2 things if you even go into next year with Hicks. It's A being how much does he get in terms of playing time? And that goes to value too. how much does he get in terms of playing time? And B, if he does get playing time, how worse is he actually going to be? So it's going to be, just a bad risk. But Big Sexy Yankee has a super chat. He goes, what if the Yankees trade Torres and some elite prospects for Max Fried since Braves are going to lose Dansby Swanson to free agency? I'd be
Do they
down to trade Torres for a guy like that. Let me ask you that. How would you feel about that?
do they want Gleyber Torres? If they do, I would absolutely trade him. Absolutely. Or the question is, since Gleyber Torres is not great at shortstop, would they want Volpe instead or a Peraza? And then you ask yourself, who are you parted with? Let's be honest, the Yankees have a ton of shortstops in the organization. So, and the Yankees' golden boy is Anthony Volpe. So you're asking yourself, elite, we won't have to pay 30 something odd $million for Fried. I'm going to look up his contract details.
Okay.
But I won't have to pay 30 something odd million over 7 years for Carlos Rodon. But honestly, I would prefer Rodon.
Now, also
Fried,
something
let me just say this. Fried is a free agent come 2025. He has no arbitration. Braves cleared that.
Okay, so what's his salary numbers?
Let's see. 2023. It is, last year an arbitration was about 6.85 million. It doesn't really say for the next few years, but I'm going to say it's around the same because it's going to keep going up because the Braves, I think, cleared his arbitration. I don't see any arbitrary years in his current contract.
It's quite interesting to say the least. I got to get to Chris the Flash's super chat. Every time a team gets brought up for Rodon, they go out, sign another pitcher. So Rodon is sitting right there for the yeah, I mean, he's sitting right there. The Twins, they don't really have I would say a knack for spending money as much as we think. It's more about trades and small time acquisitions in terms of free agency for them. But one thing I'll put in the atmosphere, though, first of all, I don't even know if these Max Fried rumors are true. That's one thing. Second of all, I don't know how you would feel about this, but also the chat is very much free to intervene. If you do trade for Max Fried, right? You deal Gleyber Torres, you deal one of your shortstops, then you sign Dansby Swanson.
Okay. Yeah, I'm for that. Definitely.
So you can say buy Volpe, go out and go to Atlanta. I mean, I don't know what their infield does look like, though, because you're up the middle. I mean, obviously they're letting Swanson walk for a reason, but second base, I'd be interested to see who's there because that's Gleyber Torres. But at the same time, I don't know that they would take that on because they're part of this youth movement, and I'm just not a very positive person on Gleyber Torres.
Here's the current alignment. It would be Olsen at first, right at third base, Austin Riley. Mm-hmm. Shortstop was Swanson. Now, what position does Vaughn Grisham play?
I'll look that up right now.
No, I'm actually going to do that because Grisham is a second baseman and shortstop.
Okay. So
he might be just slotted in at second base over Orlando Arcia.
Yeah, I mean Arcia is like he's like a depth guy at this point in his career. But Vaughn Grissom, I mean, you said second base shortstop, right?
Yeah, Grissom could be either second base or shortstop.
Yeah, some
Riley's at third.
Some really good MILB stats last year. But
oh, don't forget Ozzy Albies as well.
Yeah,
this depth chart's not very accurate because they're placing Albies at like fourth. But regardless, that's how the alignment looks. Albies up the middle with what's his name? Grisham. So maybe you don't have that avenue. I mean, unless he's a DH, which would kind of be awkward.
Yeah, I mean, also at the end of the day, if they don't want Volpe, and let's just say you have to, I don't know what their outfield situation looks like. But if you want to throw in a Dominguez, either way, you're not giving up your top. Now, this is obviously hypothetical. You're not giving up your top prospects at the end of the day because they're shortstop guys, Peraza and Volpe, because they have that fit. I have that done already.
Their
So
outfield is Marcelo Zuna, Michael Harris, and Ronald Acuna.
Ozuna, maybe not there long term, so maybe they could get a Dominguez.
Right.
So throw him in. Fuck that. Throw him in. And then they obviously just traded for Murphy, so but we'll see. I mean, it just depends. It just depends. Vaughn Grissom is the shortstop. He's the Braves' top prospect, but we'll see. We'll see. But I think that could actually work out now that I've talked myself into such things. But moving on, let's go a little bit into left field.
Okay.
Obviously, there's discussions. What would it take for Brian Reynolds, Benintendi? There's a couple of guys in that conversation. First of all, what would it take, in your opinion, for Brian Reynolds?
I know the Pirates want like something like 2 to 3 of their 2 to 3 of top prospects, or at least 2 of the top 3. So you could throw in Volpe and Dominguez, and then you could throw pretty much like Gleyber Torres, just like filler stuff, or like a Clark Schmidt in there. So that would be interesting. The Pirates do have some young talent. I'll pull up their roster right now. Obviously, they've got O'Neal Cruz. So
I mean, you could still pivot like that, because if you do give up Volpe, maybe you give up Dominguez and you give up Gleyber Torres, maybe some other filler players, you could still do that Dansby Swanson stuff.
right. So
And
here's
then you
how it
got other
goes.
shortstops in this system to succeed Dansby Swanson. So it's not a bad thing at the end of the day.
Right. So their alignment looks like this. First base is Choi. Second base is Rodolfo Castro. I don't know much about him. I'm going to see what his contract details look
I'll
like.
look at his stuff, but you keep going.
Shortstop is O'Neal Cruz, and third base is what's his name? Brian Hayes.
Rodolfo Castro. So as far as Castro goes, he's earning 311,000 this year.
That's nothing.
That's chump change, but
Right,
obviously
but is he like going to be a starting player?
Castro is a shortstop. Let me look at his stats.
They're slotting him at second base. I'm just asking, did he play a lot last year where he could be considered a starter?
Played 71 games.
I guess.
233, 11 home runs, 27 RBIs.
Okay, that could be improved upon, honestly.
Yeah. No, I agree. Once again, there's a lot of different pivots you can make. I think we've explored a lot of good options, but
Avenues.
yeah, avenues, options. Oh, Luca, we also have different lanes. Remember,
Yes, lanes.
we have
We have
air good
latitude.
term. We have latitude. We have lanes. So we unfortunately the Yankees love L's in that particular thing. But yeah, I think it would take Dominguez, either Peraza or Volpe. Maybe you throw in an Austin Wells, but the Yankees really don't have a first base option unless you're just hoping for Murakami a few
That's what
years
I
down the
want. I
line.
want him in 2025.
And then I mean catcher, you're set for right now, and then you could pivot towards an Antonio Gomez. What teams are in on Andrew Benintendi? I know
I've
the
heard
Padres want to offer him some money.
I've heard Twins. I've heard Astros. Obviously, you said the Padres, but those are the teams. Yankees are probably still in as well, but I would like Benintendi back. But I'm not going to be the guy who's going to be paying him $100 million.
So if you had to choose, right? If you had
I
to
know what
choose,
you're going to ask. Brian Reynolds or Benintendi? Brian Reynolds.
you choose Brian Reynolds.
Yes, I would. I like a switch hitting bat.
That's actually a good point. That's actually a good point. See,
Not
my
that I would
worry
flip.
is, are the Yankees
Not,
going to use him correctly?
who, Reynolds?
Yeah.
I hope
They
they do.
fucked with Benintendi too much.
Reynolds is a top of the order guy as well. He can bring to me. He's like, I'm not going to say he's an all out 5-tool player, but he brings like power and contact. He hit 27 home runs this past season, and he could hover around 300. I'm gonna look up his numbers from the previous seasons, but he brings you contact and power.
Um, Mike from the Av says, question is, what happened to we have money for Judge and others? It went towards AC Milan. It went towards AC Milan.
All right, so
Um,
here's his stats from this season: 27 homers, 62 RBIs, 262, 806 OPS, and 345 on base percentage. The previous season, 302, 24 home runs at 90 RBIs. He gives you the pop with homers, but he also can hit for average.
a player that the Yankees haven't had in a while. I mean, Benintendi never really gave a sense of power. If I'm being honest,
Reynolds, if I'm being honest, moves the needle.
he does move the needle. He does move the needle. So yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I would like to see what he does against the Astros. Obviously, when we face him this upcoming season. Um, Someone said if Reynolds is traded, the AL East will be Toronto. Unfortunately, I hope it's not. I mean, they just signed Kiermaier, which was very weird. They traded Teoscar Hernandez, who was a great hitter, and then they just signed Kiermaier. So I'm kind of weirded out by the direction. But hey, at the end of the day, who's their manager now? Is it Pete Walker or is it somebody else?
Jays?
Jays.
Schneider.
Schneider. Okay. And then their bench coach is Don Mattingly. So
Right.
What's the big move? I have no fucking clue.
Nobody does.
Assassin. They might be waiting for Rodon before the judge presser. I mean, I don't know I don't know if they could wait that long. Shots Chris Perez.
But why not introduce? What thing is? Why not have Judge? I don't like. I know Judge should have his own separate presser, but why not do both?
Yeah, no, I agree. Now let me ask you a question as well. Say that Reynolds is not getting traded, or he goes to a team like the Jays,
Okay.
and let's say Benintendi. Let's just say he goes to the Astros, he goes to the Padres, he gets like 100 mil, or he's in a position where he wants 100 mil for like 6 years, and the Yankees said, we're not locking that up, even though they did it with Aaron Hicks, so it'd be a little hypocritical. But who is the plan B or C for you?
I want to say one of the Arizona outfielders. I got to do more research, but they've been highly touted. They've been brought up in trade discussions. Who was it, the Astros that they nearly traded for, or they haven't yet? The guy, I forget the guy's name.
The Astros?
Yeah, it was like the Diamondbacks were discussing his name. It was
The
like
Astros player, the D-backs player,
D-backs player,
Jake McCarthy,
not McCarthy,
Alec Thomas.
not Alec Thomas.
I have no fucking answer for you.
Dalton Varsho, thank you. Dalton Varsho.
Mm.
If he's not been traded yet, I would consider him.
Pull up the stats.
Okay. Varsho, actually, he's a catcher and an outfielder.
Wow, so versatility.
Yes. So his stats from last season, we'll probably get him, like, I can bring up his defensive stats as well. His batting stats, 235, 27 home runs, 74 RBIs, an OPS of around 745. That's close to average. 302 on base percentage, 145 strikeouts, 16 stolen bases. Now, I'm going to pull up his defensive stats from Baseball Savant, even though, I like my defensive stats from there. So, Dalton Varsho. So, again, he brings the versatility. Maybe he's more of a long-term option than, say, Jose Trevino. So, outfielder
versatility there.
They like his outfielder jump, so I think that has to do with his fielding stuff. So I'm gonna pull up his fielding metrics.
You look that up. I'm gonna answer the chat.
Yes.
No, I would not do Michael Conforto. I don't know why people want him. To be honest, I mean he didn't play last year, so
I don't like understand that either.
Players.
Like if you're of the narrative that Brian Cashman likes his injured players, why you like Conforto for the Yankees?
Yeah, it's just not.
He's not moving either. He's not moving at all.
Yeah, and also, people bring up, is Walter Cabrera in left field? See, here's the thing. Here's the vision I have with Walter Cabrera. I think he's the DJ LeMahieu type platoon player, just expanded. Right? He could play shortstop. He could play second. He could play first if you want. He could play all over the field. So why just pigeonhole him in one position? He could be, modern day Marwin Gonzalez, because let's just say, um, you know, Oswaldo Cabrera, for example, is the starting left fielder on opening day. What if, for instance, your guys in the minors aren't ready and DJ LeMahieu gets hurt at second base and Gleyber Torres is gone? Now you're going to have to use a backup outfielder in left field, move Cabrera over to second. So, not that I would particularly want Cabrera on the bench 24/7, but put a left fielder in left field. That's just my personal opinion. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm actually going to look at Varsho stats right now. They like his jump and his range percentage. Like they say, his feet covered, his range covered, which is in feet, is about 37.4, which is not bad. He's very highly rated as a burst player, reaction time as well, feet versus average. I'm not gonna lie to you, some of these stats I don't know what they mean, obviously because they're more advanced, but just to see that he's in the great percentage when it comes to his fielding defensively is just a very good sign. And then it brings
And
the
this
power
is
too.
Varsho, right?
Yes, Dalton Varsho.
All right. I would suggest you move on to McCarthy and Alec Thomas because I want to know a little bit more about them. Um, Maybe the big move is a Jazz Chisholm and Pablo Lopez
I'll
package.
sign up for Jazz Chisholm.
Yeah, I mean, I got to do more research on Chisholm, but as I said, I'm not necessarily for a Pablo Lopez trade. Maybe if you get Montas out of here, but it's like, you know, trade everyone for Buxton. Yeah, I've seen people say, trade for Kepler. I'm absolutely not. And no, I'm not for this whole futuristic plan of trying to go after Otani. He didn't come here in the first place. What makes you think he's going to come here right now? Um, I just don't get that vision. But you got stats on McCarthy or the other guy yet?
McCarthy, 8 home runs, 43 RBIs, 283, 342 on base percentage. They like, again, another thing that is common between these two, and I think it's kind of an Arizona thing, in my opinion. If I'm going to make an insinuation, they like speed, they like range. So McCarthy metrics support his range and his speed. Sprint speed is given really high by Baseball Savant, and so is his range. Hitting, not so much because he's more of a contact hitter, but it's positive for the
Is he
most
like a
part.
Benintendi?
He could be. He could be.
Right. Um, Buxton is what the Yankees thought Hicks would be. Yeah. Kepler is such a Yankees move. Yeah, it would
Well,
be.
here's what's in common between Buxton and Hicks. They can't stay healthy.
Right. Right. Remember when Buxton was like leading the league in home runs last year or something like that?
Yeah, I
He
think
was
then he
leading
ended
in
up
something.
he let yeah, and then he end up getting hurt, I believe, which unfortunately happens a lot to him.
Yeah.
So
Otani will never be a Yankee or on the East Coast because the time difference with Japan. I mean, he never really stated that in his excuse for not coming to the Yankees. It was big market, then he goes to LA, which is pretty hypocritical. But
contradictory.
yeah, so I mean, I'm not necessarily a part of that train. We have to accept the reality that Josh and IKF will be our starting infielders. I mean, we'll see. We're gonna discuss third base in just a sec. But you got any other stats on Alec Thomas?
Alec Thomas, 8 home runs, 39 RBIs, 231 average, 275 on base percentage. OPS not liking it, 619. They like his exit velocity. They like his outs above average and sprint speed and arm strength when it comes to his fielding.
I
I'm
could
gonna try
definitely
and
see that as a Yankees move because you mentioned exit velocity. I'm like, yep, that's a Yankees move right there. Not that he may or may not be a bad ball player or a good ball player, but based off of what you're telling me, I think my favorite right there is Jake McCarthy.
his here's some of his percentile rankings. Max exit velocity 75th, strikeout percentage 71st, speed 95th percentile, outs above average 92, arm strength 70th percentile. All really good stats. So those are like his better stats. Whiff percentage is right in the middle. Not a lot of slugging, not a lot of barrel percentage, not a lot of hard hit percentage. His walk percentage is not that great either.
Shout outs to my guy, Unpopular Opinion Sports. What's going on,
What's going
man?
on, man?
Also, Pete, listen, chat. Beanie's going up on the shop now NYY News TV flavored. Guys, get your beanies, get your
Yes, it's
gear,
cold
get your
outside.
Twinbill gear, get all your gear. NYY News TV. Nobody has it better. Yeah, so get those beanies and all that stuff. But any final thoughts on the left field conversation?
Oh, just want to add this. They actually have, it's pretty neat. They have a similar tool. They have a tool on here for Baseball Savant, similar batters, and they give out their own,
Comps?
yeah, comps. I'm going to read
So
you off some of them. Ahmed Rosario.
for
This is Alec Thomas.
okay.
Gene Segura.
I'm not liking that.
Tyro Estrada.
Eh.
Luis Rengifo.
Mm,
Eric Hosmer.
fuck no. Give me comps for McCarthy and we'll move on.
Let's see. Cesar Hernandez.
Why are they lowering the bar so much? I'm sorry. I just feel like first player you mentioned, Cesar Hernandez. Next player.
Cal Mitchell.
Who the fuck is that?
Cal Mitchell, he's playing for the Pirates. He's an outfielder.
Oh, well, I'm supposed to know that name.
Odubel Herrera.
Okay, we're done. We're done here. I'm sorry. I'm not
What
listening.
hold on, Alex.
No,
What
I'm not
about
listening to this shit no more. They have the bar so low for these guys. Yeah, they play for Arizona. It doesn't mean they're all fucking trash.
who was it? Let me see Varsho. Let me see. I gotta be curious with
Let
this
me
one.
guess. Joey Gallo is going to be a comp for Dalton Varsho.
No, actually.
Who
You'll
is it?
recognize a few of these names. Jacob Stallings,
Okay.
Ryan McMahon,
Eh.
Danny Jansen.
I'm okay. We're moving on. I don't like this at all. I don't like this at all.
Cole Calhoun.
I don't like this at all, Luke. I fucking told you that. Move on. Final thoughts on the left field conversation.
It has to be Reynolds or Benintendi, in my opinion.
Option C being Jake McCarthy. But with that being said, we'll move on to our final subject, the third base conversation. Where are you at with third base? Being, of course, they have not traded Josh Donaldson or moved the contract yet. Your thoughts?
I'm questioning why they weren't further on Carlos Correa. Like, I understand, their vision is Volpe and Peraza. Sure, that can happen. Volpe can be up this year at shortstop. Peraza could play second, or you could flip flop to two. But why were you not in on Carlos Correa? It's because they're not. They are, first of all, they're not. It seems as though they're not intent on trading Josh Donaldson. I have no clue why, because you've had all winter meetings to teeter with that. I understand Donaldson is, not the most attractive. First of all, you're taking on a huge contract, and the Yankees might have to eat a portion of it. They might have to give up an asset or two. So, in my opinion, just eat your losses and move on. To me, what's better for this team is if somebody like a Correa would play third base instead of Ozzie Cabrera. Maximize Ozzie is somebody who could play all over the field. Maximize LeMahieu is somebody who could play all over the infield. That's how I see it. That's why I wanted Carlos Correa or somebody like a Bogarts. Maybe Swanson could play third base. I don't know. I'm going to list all available third basemen. I don't think you're going to like these names. Justin Turner.
People have brought up the prospect of Brandon Crawford being a Yankee deal. I take Turner over Crawford, respectfully.
Well, here's the thing. Well, he earns about $16 million this year. Let's say you trade Hicks and Donaldson and you take on some of that. You have maybe the Giants take on some of Crawford. That's not a terrible deal. It's not the worst thing that could happen. So I'm not actually against that. So would you be for Justin Turner?
I'd be okay with it. It's
Yeah.
not my first option to be.
Evan Longoria.
Didn't he have a solid year last year? But I'm going to say no.
Longoria, 14 homers, 42 RBIs, 244.
No.
Brian Anderson from the Marlins.
No.
That's such a lower than mid name. Matt Carpenter, even though he wants more playing time.
I'm not bringing him back either way, to be completely honest.
Neither am I. Somebody mentioned from our chat a couple of days ago, Brandon Drury.
Yeah, but I just don't see the Yankees getting
That's
another.
not a pop move.
Yeah.
Harold Castro.
No.
So if Dansby Swanson could play third base, I'm all for it.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Unless you want to get Jose Iglesias.
Can we wait a year and try to sign Devers as a free agent next year? My personal opinion is that the Red Sox will try to lock him up. Not locking up Xander Bogaerts obviously was their fault, and their main priority is probably going to be go to Devers. And I don't think you could wait on that. Like, we're trying to win now. That's what the Yankees are always about. And I'm not ripping the comments or anything, but the Yankees always have this like half pregnant division. Well, let's get Josh Donaldson, some of these other guys. But then again, we're gonna get Volpe and Peraza in. And it's just a weird path down the line. But as far as third base goes, and I see a comment from LI. I would not put Gleyber Torres at third. I don't think he's ever played third base. I wouldn't try to
I'm not
experience
trying that.
because we know how shortstop went, and shortstop was supposed to be his bread and butter position. So, I'm honestly, if you want my personal opinion, I'm gonna say IKF.
I
My
don't
thing
know, man.
is,
That's I'm so done with listen, if he's a role player off the bench, fine. I just don't want him starting.
I say rotate him with Cabrera a little bit.
All right, I guess I can live with that.
It's like I'm trying to temper my expectations, if you will.
Of course, of
Because they're not
course.
going to go out there trade for Jose Ramirez and they're going to lock them up, or they're going to trade for this guy or that guy. I'm tempering expectations. They probably may keep Donaldson,
Or let
but
me ask this: trade for Jazz Chisholm, who's second base. Move Peraza to short, Volpe at third.
something you could teeter with. But as I said, I don't see them trading for Jazz Chisholm. Um, I know a lot of people are souring on the IKF thing, but Gold Glove third baseman and solid contact hitter. Not something you would put at the top though. Shortstop was never supposed to be Torres' position. He was supposed to be third or second.
Soft. No, it's not. First of all, it's not a soft contact hitter. It's not a solid
Slapdick
contact hitter. It's a soft contact hitter.
Slapdick hitter.
Exactly.
Unpopular opinion sports says Donaldson needs to go. They didn't want to pay Correa because they paid Judge. I agree with all you guys though. They need to be all in. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. But I just think in terms of tempering expectations, IKF is the way to go. My personal opinion. Now, obviously, if they went somewhere else with it, like a Justin Turner, I would say okay. Or they went Peraza, they tried Volpe there. I guess I could live with it. But it's just the point of third base. They created a hole with trading Urshela
Of
and getting
course.
Donaldson. So it's like you fucked it up, and I don't expect you to fix it.
Of course.
But Donaldson and Hicks need to fucking leave.
No, that's a must. That's an absolute must. Same with trading Gleyber Torres. I want him gone.
Yeah. So to end off the show, thoughts on, well, actually, put it in a list. 5 things the Yankees must do to finish the offseason.
Sign Carlos Rodon.
Okay.
Sign a left fielder or trade for one.
Okay.
Hoping that's Benintendi or Brian Reynolds. Trade off the Donaldson and Hicks contracts. Number 3. Number 4, trade Gleyber Torres. Number 5, I'm not going to lie to you. Andrew Chafin's catching my eye as a sinker ball pitcher.
All right. Seth in the chat says, didn't Curry say they plan on keeping Donaldson at third base on the defense and hope for some offense? That's what I heard, and it's not necessarily a good way to go. But with that being said, for my 5, as I listed in the video earlier, please check it out on Big Blue in the Bronx YouTube channel. Sign Rodon. Number 2 is Reynolds or Benintendi. 3, deal Donaldson. 4, deal Hicks. 5, deal Torres and commit to Peraza as your starting shortstop. Because whether you want to move him or not, I think it's just the way to go. because he is, I think, the most capable to be your starting shortstop on this current roster right now. Can't be anyone else. Can't be anyone else. But Luca, your final thoughts.
Yeah, well, listen, this whole Rodon stuff's got to end. It has to end in a victory for us. We got to sign him. No question. The Yankees need a left fielder as well. Hopefully, praying to God, they trade Donaldson to Hicks. We'll obviously discuss that in weeks to come because I don't think they're trading him right now. Listen, we'll see what's to come. Offseason's not over, but the Yankees got to start making moves.
Right. And, I agree with some people who say, the offseason is over. But at the same time, you could be in January trying to make moves and there will be no good players left. But like, comment, subscribe to all the good stuff. Turn on post notifications. Become a member. Buy some beanies. Buy some gear from NYY.
Guys, it's cold outside. Buy those beanies.
Yes. Become a member. Get the perks. 5 stars on Apple Podcasts for all podcasts.
Like it up.
NyynewsTV. Do all the good stuff. Yes. Get those likes up. We appreciate you guys coming back. And we will see you next time. Peace.
Peace.
Before it hits the front